Welcome back, my legends, and today I'm going to explain why Bangalore hates Wraith. Now, on Apex Twitter, we got a new video called Get in Her Business and she'll get into yours, and basically it revolves around Bangalore and Wraith. So a quick summary is that Wraith finds Bangalore's knife, which is her heirloom in-game, and apparently Wraith was able to recognize that it belonged to a former pilot, which is very interesting. Wraith starts to ask too many questions, Bangalore gets mad, in the end basically Bangalore tells her that she hates her, and apparently duels is canon in the Apex universe, so yeah, fun fact for you. But what's the deeper meaning here? What happened to Bangalore that made her lose her cool? Which I have to remind everybody, she's a former IMC soldier, so Bangalore losing her cool is not only rare but almost unheard of. So you know Wraith struck a big nerve when she started talking about the heirloom, but if you have read the Pathfinder's quest book, which we're going to use to solve a little bit of these questions today, you have a general idea why Bangalore will hate Wraith a lot. But the first thing we're going to tackle is why Wraith is so interested in the knife. Now, for those of you who don't know, Wraith was a former pilot, but she was a science pilot. We know this from her little audio logs that you get in Dr. Singh's lab.
Senior Science Pilot, Renee Blasi, first report.
But in the most updated lore, we now know Wraith's full name. Her full name is Renee Hope Blasley. Now, we got hints of her middle name in the Season 6 quest on Twitter, where Mirage gets a file from his mom because his mom used to work for the IMC back in the day, and Mirage says how he's dying to know her middle name, which is the writer's way of saying that her middle name is very important to the story, and Pathfinder's quest book basically lets us know that her middle name is Hope, but unfortunately all this information doesn't mean much for Wraith, it's just a name. She wants to know more about herself. Now, please keep everything in mind because it all connects back to Bangalore and Wraith. So what happened, my legends, is that Wraith is now starting to question what kind of person she was.
I was afraid I'd never find out who I was before I was a guinea pig. And now I'm scared I will. Singh left behind pain and misery. I was his partner back then. Is that my legacy too?
So Wraith is now starting to wonder if she was no different than Dr. Singh's all along, because in the Pathfinder's quest book, this is what she says, that if these experiments, my partner was able to stab me in the back, drugging me and hold me prisoner for the rest of my life, all in the name of personal glory, what kind of person would I have been to agree to work with him in the first place? And if you see my video about Wraith's true self, you have an idea where I'm going with this. So this is so important, my legends, because when Wraith found the knife, she instantly knew it belonged to a pilot, meaning that she probably has some connection to this knife, either by knowing the person that owned the knife before Bangalore, or some information that could lead her to finding out about her past. So this kind of explains why Wraith was a bit too pushy when she was asking questions about the knife, which unfortunately led to Bangalore feeling not only ignored but also disrespected, because it's her knife, which means that it's her property, which means that it's none of her business, which hence the title Get in Her Business and she'll get into yours. You see, my legends, Bangalore has a really sad story if you have read the Pathfinder's quest book. You see, my legends, what happened is that Bangalore and her brother Jackson, they had this competition called the Scorecard, which is basically Bangalore and her brother Jackson doing a series of dares and challenges, and whoever gets to 100 first becomes the ultimate Williams sibling. And 4 of those challenges are very important to the story, because one of them is who can get their Titan first, who can pilot a Titan, and who can get their pilot certification, which Jackson won all 3. But does this mean Bangalore's not a pilot? Well, technically it still could mean Bangalore is a pilot, it's just that she didn't get hers first. But the last challenge is very important because this one says first militia takedown. Now it could imply a lot of things, but this could explain where she got that knife, because in Bangalore's description it says that she got this pilot's knife from a cold-blooded opponent. Now this will make a lot more sense if this was a militia pilot's knife, because this will explain why Bangalore says she checked if this was a data knife to see if there was info on militia. Now obviously Wraith didn't know this, and that's what she said, maybe I can check for you, because she was a science pilot. Now Bangalore found that as very disrespectful, because in other words, Bangalore interpreted as Wraith saying that she's not good enough to earn a pilot's knife or good enough to beat one, and she probably doesn't know how to work it. Now from Wraith's perspective that makes sense, because Bangalore has always called herself Sergeant First Class Anita Williams. So from Wraith's perspective, she meant that in good intent, but unfortunately Bangalore mistook it the wrong way. And for the people that are going to say, why doesn't Bangalore just say that she got this knife from an opponent? Well, because Bangalore is a former IMC soldier, so just putting 2 and 2 together, more than likely she got this from a militia pilot. Now militia are kind of seen as the heroes of the frontier, liberating them from the IMC. So if she tells people that she killed or left somebody that was a militia pilot for dead, she's going to get even more hate than she really is. This is what she has to deal with every single day in the Pathfinder quest book. Their faces shriveled up in disgust dusk when they see my patches. They scurry away with their pets. They protect their children from me like I'm some kind of monster. One woman even spit on my face. So as you can see, it's probably not a good idea to tell people that she got this knife from facing a pilot because it doesn't look good. And the final thing that probably pissed off Bangalore the most is because Wraith wanted to keep the knife for herself. Obviously, her good intentions was to see if she can find anything on the knife, but for Bangalore, this is what made her lose her cool. You see, Wraith was part of the IMC, but she worked for the Ares division because she was hired by them.
The grant to test our new phase shift tech has been approved by the IMC's Ares division. My colleague Dr. Singh has his suspicions about them.
So what happened is that Bangalore said in the quest book that Wraith is a lab rat. She did that to herself and has nobody but herself to blame for what happened, not the IMC. You see, my legends, it was the Ares division that was working on the fold weapon, and it was their plan to use the fold weapon with the Ark to pretty much destroy the planet Harmony, which was the militia's headquarters. And Jackson found out about this because he got close to a doctor who pretty much told the truth that it was a secret project that they kept hidden from the public, and the reason the militia killed thousands of people in the planet Typhon was to save billions. After hearing this, Pathfinder asks if this makes the IMC the bad guys, in which Bangalore responds with a really heartfelt message that says General Martyr was a bad guy. The people in charge who made the decisions, they were the bad guys. The IMC is not just one hive mind, it's an entire population of people. Don't tell me the people I love, who love me and who are good people at heart, are bad guys. I know we're not. Do not paint us with that brush. I may not believe in the Ares division, but I believe in my brothers. Now, this is very important because now if we go back to this quote right here, Bangalore says that maybe if people took responsibility for their own actions, there'll be less finger pointing going on in this world. So this explains everything. Bangalore hates Atlas because Atlas were the people that pretty much took everything away from her. Not only did it take her first brother Zeke because Zeke worked in Typhon as a scientist, but in the Battle of Gridiron, Bangalore tells us that there was a project that Zeke was working on that could have turned the tide in the Battle of Gridiron, but instead of using it against the militia, they pretty much used it to run away from the Battle of Gridiron. So what I'm trying to get at, my legends, is the reason why Bangalore hates Wraith is because she represents everything she hates. So when Wraith said that she should keep the knife, that's what made Bangalore lose her cool. In her mind, Wraith represents Atlas, the very company that's taken everything away from her so far in her life and has made her gone through a lot of suffering in the Outlands. It's the reason why Bangalore says nobody can say his name, especially you. So yeah, my legends, that'll do it for this video. I hope I explained everything so far, and I'll see you next time. Peace.
Still music keeps on turning me from the words that hurt my soul, removing doubts from my mind. Those long days passing by from the door, like late summer, they slowly fade away.